Okay. Radio silence. Intro. Having some audio. Oops. Try that again.
We lost sound.
Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on The Supernatural Show, the show that is not for entertainment purposes. But on today's show, you will learn something about how they're planning on pulling off the fake alien invasion to create a grand magic trick larger than any magic trick ever been performed. Bigger than what happened in that September day back in '01. Bigger than what happened on that day, December the 13th, up in Newtown, Connecticut. Bigger than what happened at the Kirk. This deception will be a worldwide deception that will fool 95% of the people who are watching. The other 5% are watching The Supernatural Show. So let's get into it here in just a moment. But first, I want to recognize that we've got Super Dave, Super Mike in the house, in the chat. They are the super moderators. They can make you or break you. We've also got Shannon here with us, one of our co-hosts in the house with us today. How are you, Shannon? Nice. We've also got Roxy, another co-host for the Supernatural Show. I forgot to mention Shannon is also part of her own show, which is called The Children of the Most High. And she has a channel on YouTube, The Children of the Most High. And we have Roxy from the Roxy Files, another YouTube channel, and the RoxyFiles.com. And she's here with us today. And Miss Kim, the co-director, is in the house back here handling things. You can't hear us? Well, check and see if your settings are correct. We can hear us and our audio is going out, so I think we're good. All right, so let's talk about, well, what you see on the screen here. And unfortunately, when we see what's going to happen, it's going to look more real. And it's going to be a combination of holographic imagery that we will see in the heavens in what they call low Earth orbit. And then we will also see crafts that will be flying down lower that you've never seen before, that they haven't revealed, and only a few people have gotten a peek at a few of them, like the legend of the TR-3B, the triangle-shaped craft, which I and Roxy and Miss Kim have amazingly had an opportunity to witness one of them flying over at nighttime. Large as a football field, triangle-shaped, completely solid, and can sit dead still in the sky if it wants to. Supernatural high technology based on the way God created things. Nothing can be created in this world that does not follow the rules of how God created things. This is why they study nature in order to invent technology, like the invention of the camera. The invention of the camera is the way the lens works, the way the frame rate works. Everything on a camera is based on the way your eyeball works. And they study that. They study all kinds of things. As a matter of fact, some of the newest technology out there that's amazing people is hologram technology, holographic projections. And they're getting real fancy at it down in Vegas and in a lot of other places. They're getting real fancy at it, showing us what they can do. But they have a grand magic trick. What did I say? Magic trick coming up here in, well, we don't know the date, but I can tell it's getting soon, and I can see, and I've done the study and the discernment and the meditation and prayer and gotten the answers as to what they're actually doing. One of the big keys is something called noble gases. Okay. And another big key is understanding how the eyeball works. Now, if you've been a good student and you've been here for the last two shows, you will know that I've presented about 100 slides. As you can see up here, there's another 40 off screen to the left of how the eyeball works, how photography works and how the chemical process of developing negatives and how that shows us what we're looking at when we look up in the sky. Because we think we're seeing physical objects like a moon, but we're not. We're seeing a God-made holographic projection that is based on the fact that we live inside of a enclosed world, okay? You could look at it if you want to see it in your mind's eye. You could look at it and say, we live on the eye of our eye, okay? With the lens above that is clear and there, but when we look, we see right through it. We don't see the lens above our eye. All we see is what we see. So, but they studied the eye and they know how to manipulate our eye and our vision. And that's one of the things they're going to do here soon. Excuse me, Miss Kim. Can you turn the air conditioner up? I'll check on your stuff in just a second. Uh-huh. Well, yeah, I kind of did mention that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you look up hologram, let's look up hologram 10 by 10 booth. Something going on there, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Most of us have seen this kind of stuff lately. We've seen the images, you know, where they're showing. I didn't want to open you. I wanted to open a picture like that. They've been showing off this Holo Connects, right? And showing how real it is. And they're having people show up on television shows that aren't there as well. And so they're showing it off. But let's see if I can find one of those 10 by 10 booths real quickly. I didn't pull this up prior to the show. They have what's called basically a 10 by 10 booth that they use in order to create an immersive, kind of like what they're talking about here, immersive experience where you can look from any angle and you can't tell what you're looking at is a hologram. And if the setup and the training and the planning is correctly, you can literally fool a whole lot of people all at once. Now, I can't go back through everything I went through in the last 2 days. You're going to have to go back if you are lost. All you got to do is go back 2 shows and start watching The Moon in Your Eye, Part 1 and Part 2. And then you can come here. I'm going to try to go through this, not slow, but in a way that Shannon and Roxy, y'all guys can chime in and ask questions or give input, that kind of thing. And of course, we've got everybody in the comments as well. We see y'all guys there. See Snowball and Calamity Chain, and of course, Super Mike Smith. All y'all guys, thank you very much for being here. And matter of fact, there's much more of you here as well, obviously. What's happening, Robin? Good to see you. And good to see Derby Jack. All under the dome. Yep, exactly. But a lot of people still don't realize that we live under the dome. And, but when I start explaining this, and if you, in your mind, understand that we live under a concave dome, okay? I don't know if it's physical in nature or just some other type of energetic nature or what exactly. I can't say that yet. I'm figuring out this puzzle piece by piece, okay? So, but let's start here and talk about a satellite-based laser hologram, okay? That would be worldwide. Now, that would mean you'd have to have satellites that have lasers on them, equipped with lasers, special lasers, hologram lasers that use noble gases in those lasers in order to produce holograms. But then you got to have a fabric to project on. And it happens to be that the Starlink satellites, they are in what's called low Earth orbit. That area is the exact same area that the majority and the most noble gases exist in layers in the entire world. And if you've ever noticed how Starlink, they have their satellites laid out in layers. They're not all at the same height. They're at different heights. And if you'll do just a little bit of research, you'll find out that there's a layer that's in each layer of noble gas going up, okay? And I covered all the noble gases yesterday, which I'll mention them again here in just a minute. I'll go back through them with you. But let's cover this information here first, and then we'll look back a little bit. So, satellite-based laser hologram would be a system where one or more satellites project coherent laser light with a fixed phase relationship toward Earth or into space in a way that interferes to form a 3D holographic image visible from specific locations or potentially all locations if you had enough satellites. And guess what? We're pretty much there. Essentially, it would attempt to create a free space holographic display on a planetary scale, like writing a 3D object or symbol or effect directly in the sky. And we all know that the holographic technology is indistinguishable now from real. We've seen it in multiple ways shown to us. Some people are not aware that they've been watching holograms. Theoretical basis, hologram principles. Holograms rely on interference and diffraction of coherent light to project the hologram. A reference beam and an object beam must overlap in space, any space. Their interference pattern encodes 3D depth information. To reconstruct the image, the same pattern must be recreated precisely. And the great thing about noble gases is that the reason why they're called noble is because they do not react with other gases. They only mingle with their own type, which is why they're called nobles. Like the royals, they don't mingle with the peasants, okay? And so the royal gases or the noble gases don't mingle with the peasant gases. They stay together and they're in layers in the heavens depending on which gas it is. For a satellite system, this means you need multiple synchronized satellites acting as phase-locked emitters. Each beam must maintain coherence and phase alignment across hundreds of thousands of kilometers of distance. An extraordinary challenge. Now, another thing about noble gases is that all of them, when they're ionized, meaning hit with an energy like a laser, when they're hit with an energy, think like neon. We all know neon. Like we see neon in my websites based on the neon look. But the neon back in the 70s and 80s, when they had all those glass tubes and they would hit it with electricity, an electromagnetic field also, the neon gas that was in the tubes would glow. And we said, whoa, that looks cool, right? Well, there's not just neon. Neon is a noble gas, but there's a list of noble gases. And they all naturally exist in preponderance in the heavens. They can be produced down here on the ground and by man, but if they escape, they go straight up like helium. It goes up and it don't come down like a helium balloon. Atmospheric scattering, plasma excitement. Instead of forming a true hologram, a laser could ionize or excite air molecules at specific 3D coordinates, creating voxels of light, like glowing plasma dots. We've all seen the lasers, how they scan backwards and forth. They're so fast, and they can scan so fast, which is called a refresh rate, like your television or your computer screen. Have such a fast refresh rate that the entire image seems real. It's like pixels in your computer screen, and it can scan so fast. They even have televisions based on it. It's called plasma televisions. So this has been done experimentally from ground systems. For instance, Ariel Burton, Nahum University have demonstrated 3D images made of plasma points in midair. Scaling this up to orbit in theory to create visible 3D images in the sky. Coordinated satellite arrays. A network of small satellites could form a phased optical array, the light equivalent of a radio inframeter. Okay. And if you remember at the end of yesterday's show, I showed you something called an inframeter. Okay, and it showed you how I didn't explain all of it, but I showed you an inframeter. If phased locked precisely, they could steer and shape light holographically at a target point in the atmosphere. Ground-assisted projection. Ground-based lasers could interact with orbital mirrors or diffractive elements on satellites to shape light patterns, using the satellite as a dynamic optical mask. Holographic radar. Microwave analogs. On a less visible wavelength scale, holographic radar or synthetic aperture holography is already used to construct 3D images of terrain that's not visible, but not visible light, but conceptually similar. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The noble gas layer concept, my concept. In the Earth's upper atmosphere, mesosphere to the thermosphere, which is where Starlink happens to be, traces of noble gases exist. Helium dominates near the exosphere. Neon, argon, and xenon appear in smaller quantities lower down. Now, xenon, most of y'all guys will recognize that from the lights that they use at the location in New York City, where there's those two buildings that used to be there. And once a year, they turn on those purple lights, bright white, but they're purple heliotrope lights, and they shine them way up into the sky as far as the sky can see. Yeah, those are xenon bulbs, okay? Because when excited, they produce that kind of light, that color, a purple, a heliotrope. So neon, argon, and xenon appear in smaller quantities lower down. Now, they will tell you, if you look at the science, they will say, oh, well, these gases just escape on out into space. There's nothing to stop them from getting away. The truth is that there is something to stop them, and they're layered there, and they know it. These gases are sparse, and I don't agree with this. Some of this information was created for me, and some of it is not. And I will clarify. These gases are sparse, but they're not. But they can fluorescence if excited by high energy light or particle collisions, just like a neon sign, but on a planetary scale. So if a high-powered coherent lasers were aimed into regions where noble gases are more concentrated or seeded artificially, they could ionize the gas locally, producing visible light dots, which you would call pixels, okay, or plasma voxels. These light points could then be modulated to form a 3D image. Something to note is that all of the current holographic projectors all use noble gases in the equipment. All of them. That should tell you something. Mechanism of ionization projection. Targeting the satellite array coordinates where in the upper atmosphere to intersect multiple coherent beams, the intersection point, or the pixel, or the voxel, is where the electric field strength exceeds the ionization threshold of the target noble gas. Okay, for instance, neon. Excitation and emission. Once ionized, electrons recombine with ions and emit protons, meaning light, just like neon gas. It emits light at characteristic wavelengths. Helium produces bluish white, neon reddish orange, argon violet, xenon blue white or purple. Okay? And if you have areas where the gases are mixed somewhat, you can get even a different color. Just like the rainbow. Control. By rapidly shifting the interference point, meaning the pixel point or the nodal point where the energies cross, the interference where their beams are crossing. By rapidly shifting the interference point in 3D space via precise beam steering, you could paint an image or animation volumetrically millions of times per second. Persistence of vision. The human eye would perceive this as a solid holographic shape, like a moon, or a spacecraft, or pattern floating in the sky. Engineering and physical challenges. Gas density. At those altitudes, noble gases are, they say, extremely sparse. I say they're abundant because they can't get out, and they go up against the firmament and they layer. Because why do they layer? Why don't they just mix all together? Because they're noble. They're like the royals. They don't mix with the peasants. They don't mix with other gases. They like to be with their own kind. That's why they're called noble gases. You'll need massive beam power, gigawatts. And of course, what have they been talking about? How much energy we're going to need to do all these things they got planned? Lots of energy. Localized seeding. You could release small bursts of noble gas at target altitudes via microsatellites or sounding rockets. Like, remember during the eclipse back in April 2 years ago, remember NASA was launching what they were calling sounding rockets. Remember that? They were doing tests. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure I could pull one up. NASA Eclipse sounding rockets. NASA launched 3 Black Brant 4 sounding rockets during the April 8th, 2024 total solar eclipse as part of the atmospheric perturbations around eclipse path. It says mission to study how the sudden drop in sunlight affects the Earth's upper atmosphere and ionosphere, which is where we're talking about, which is where Starlink satellites exist. Whether they're floating somehow on nodes or whether they have assistance in floating because they have noble gas-filled balloons, I'm not sure, to be honest. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, we know how they would we know now how they would do a fake moon. If you take the information from the last 2 videos and this one today, you'll have the understanding of how they could even fake a moon. They can create that holographic projection. All they have to do is recreate the conditions that creates what we see as the moon. And then yeah, I've seen things about that too. But some people would say, well, how can they block out the sunlight using gases or a hologram? The thing is because first off, you don't realize that you can block a lesser light, or if you put a lesser light in front of a greater light, the lesser light, instead of looking like a light, it turns black, just like in an eclipse. The lesser light in front of a greater light behind it, the lesser light in front turns black. Yesterday's show. It turns black. And so if you can just recreate that condition, they can manufacture an eclipse just about whenever they wanted to. Now, did they manufacture this last one? Maybe. The reason why I say maybe is because it got dark twice. And under normal conditions with a normal eclipse, it can't get dark twice, but it did. And I verified that with hundreds of people, if not thousands, across the nation that seen it go dark twice. Just like when it gets that dark, eerie feeling, even if you're not in that full 100% eclipse area, you still it still gets dark outside depending on, where you're at. Well, here it got dark, then lightened back up, and then like 30 minutes later, all of a sudden it got dark again. So to me, that says to me, something ain't right. Because the way God created it, it would not get dark twice. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was. All they've got to do is create a holographic projection of a lesser light in front of the sun, and it'll produce an eclipse-like effect. Now, some people would say, how's that possible? First off, you gotta come to the understanding that one, the moon itself is holographic. And then secondly, you have to understand that the sun is not physical either. It's not something that's there to be touched or to go to. I'm not going to go to the point of saying it's holographic too at this point, because I haven't went to Father yet, and I haven't made sure in my mind, and I'm not going to come to anybody and tell them something that I haven't really done a lot of praying, meditating, study, research, confirmation, knowing what I'm talking about when I'm talking about noble gases, knowing what I'm talking about when I'm talking about how the eye works, knowing what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the things I'm talking about today. A lesser light in front of a greater light produces black. And if the lesser light is behind it, you'll have a ring of light around it, like in yesterday's show. So yeah, they've been talking around the fringe about all of this stuff, haven't they? All right, so power and beam control, creating ionization at hundreds of kilometers away, requires petawatt class pulse lasers, short bursts, adaptive focusing systems to compensate for atmospheric scattering, which there is no scattering at the level of where the Starlink satellites are at. Because why is there no scattering? Because there are noble gases there. The noble gases don't mix with other gases. There's nothing there. A lot of other gases will ionize at different temperatures, different this, different that. Noble gases have a set number, is how they work. That's why people can create neon pretty easily, because it's known exactly how they react and how to make them produce light. Quantum synchronized optical clocks for phase. Think about the moon, all the phases of the moon. And when you start talking about holographics, the word phase comes up over and over and over. Phase alignment across multiple satellites. Theoretical enhancements, resonant ionization tuning, matching the laser wavelength to the gas resonant frequency with lower energy thresholds, quantum coherence distribution, using entangled photon pairs or quantum timing links to synchronize layer phases across satellites. You see, all the satellites that Starlink is currently putting up, they admit that they're all equipped with laser systems. Now, they'll tell you they're for communication from satellite to satellite, and that's true. Because if you're going to pull off something like this, they've got to do that they've got to communicate satellite to satellite, but they've also got to communicate from a source that's providing the feed. They've got to have real good Wi-Fi in order to make sure everybody is exact on time. It's like a big stage act magic trick. It don't work if the timing ain't right. Artificial gas clouds, deploying small, localized noble gas clouds could theoretically enhance things to serve as the projection medium, possibly reusable, which is not needed. The gas clouds are not needed because the gas is already there. It's in layers. The noble gases are all in layers, in order, in the heavens above, below the firmament. Magneto-optical shaping. Use Earth's magnetic field or controlled magnetic fields to contain and shape the plasma region, improving definition. So that could play in, I would think, because we live in a giant torus field. If you ain't figured it out yet, everything exists in torus fields. It's interesting too, when I've figured all this stuff out, it starts to make me think about so many other things, like how angels produce the white light that they produce. And, because oxygen it is ionizable also, just like noble gases. But oxygen's not noble because it will mix with other gases. But if there's oxygen in the air, it acts like an accelerator for fire or light. And so it makes me think about how angels appear as the orbs of light, angels of light. And what the result might look like. Now, this is an example of just a triad of satellites, 3 satellites orbiting in coordination. They focus beams at 120 kilometer altitude in the lower atmosphere at an intersection. Neon gas fluorescence in red-orange outline, a 3D emblem. This is giving an example of something simple you could create. A 3D emblem, word, or symbol. The image seems to float in the night sky, large enough to be seen by hundreds of miles away. It could shift, pulse, and rotate dynamically. Now, we've seen some kind of examples of these kinds of things in recent years. Now, it says, essentially, you could get a planet scale 3D hologram made of plasma light in noble gas layers, the ultimate atmospheric display. If you have no satellites, enough power, and enough bandwidth, who has all that? And admits that they use lasers and are using lasers on their satellites. This is just a simple example of like creating an image in the sky here. But here's something, of course, saying that Starlink uses layers for inter-satellite communication, allowing the satellites to create a high-speed, super high-speed Wi-Fi, global internet mesh, a blanket, a bow. Just like the rider of the white horse is said to have had a bow. A bow, by definition in Hebrew, is the simplest of fabric. And what did they put on the side of the Starlink satellites that they launched back in the summer of 2020? They put a white horse on it with a bow in his hand and said, "Our time has come." And of course, I've shown that many times. I could do it again, but you can pull up NROL. I can't remember the mission number, but NROL, our time has come, and you'll probably see it. It's a launch mission patch. Another example, just showing you an image of it, but these other ones are better. These images start showing you just an example, and I could pull up what they claim is a live map of Starlink, but they basically have layered, and this is a better image, layered worldwide coverage. Ask yourself, why did Starlink layer the satellites? They're all at different heights, and they maintain those heights. Does Starlink and these other major corporations in the world, do they use technology and give us a benefit from it so we go along with it, like cell phones? And yet at the same time, it has technology embedded into it that is working against us or imprisoning us or deceiving us. Is that a normal practice? I would say it is. Here's some information about some Tesla hologram stuff. Apparently Tesla has a new smartphone coming out. It's called the Tesla Hologram. Imagine that. The Tesla Hologram smartphone.
I don't trust in the fact about that Tesla phone because there's been many, many rumors that he was going to make one, and I haven't seen any proof of it yet.
Okay. Well, that means this whole theory is shot.
No, it's not that. He's not publicly put out anything that he's going to do the phone because he's hooked up his Starlink system with T-Mobile, Verizon, and somebody else. He's already got control of their phone systems.
Right, sure. Communication, all that. In August 23 of 2013, supposedly Elon Musk tweeted, and I didn't go back to his account and go way back and see if I've seen it, but it said, "We figured out how to design rocket parts just with hand movements through the air, using holographic interactive controls." It says, "Now we need a high frame rate holograph generator." That's what he said. And then he said, "We'll post video next week of designing a rocket part with hand gestures, then immediately printing it with titanium." So he's talking about holographic generators. Everything is pretty much there. Whether the phone is real or not real, we know it's coming. Somebody's going to produce it and release it. But ultimately, the whole theory, especially when you go back and consider all the information that exists from the last two shows, which is highly substantial amount of information and consideration about the eye, like how it looks like the sun and how it looks like an eclipse and how it has an ice wall around it, like our world, and all the secrets lie within us. In order to learn the secrets of the world, you look outward, but you also have to look inward at the same time. So, yeah. And I've got all these slides here for this presentation for the last 3 days. I'm going to take it all, and it's going to go ultimately into a full-fledged, like a documentary type style, but I'm also going to take them and put them into a like a presentation thing that I'm going to put onto the website that'll be available for anyone to go there and study and try to prove me right or try to prove me wrong. Because could I be wrong? Yeah, sure. Am I the smartest man on the planet? No. Depends on what you use to determine smart means. But I know that I've just dug and dug and dug, and I've been at this for going on 16 years, trying to understand the reality of the world we live in and understand what causes what. And there come a time when I realized, oh, you got to look inward, be able to see what's outward. In order to be able to understand what's outward, look inward, and how you have to study nature and all these things. And so, that being said, let me put up the comments some more of them can be seen. Any thoughts, questions, criticisms, questions that, like, any kind of logical questions to try to help me debunk or try to help me improve and understand something I'm missing, maybe.
Look at the ionospheric studies that are being done in Antarctica. You got every nation in the world that has signed a peace treaty. They all got a science station up there. Nobody's fighting about up there. They all get along. There was an article that come out over the weekend. I know they've been doing ionosphere tracking and all kind of stuff in Antarctica. The science of what they're doing there is how they're going to complete this theory of yours.
It very well may be.
Because if you literally have a glass firmament, so to speak, and I say glass, and I mean that in relative term.
Yeah, sure.
If you have a firmament over here and Antarctica is the edge, if they want to manipulate the sun or the moon, or like they're saying now, we got 2 moons. Have you seen that? We got a new moon, everybody. NASA said so. And it's going to be here for like 90 years, and it's just going to disappear.
Okay.
But you could control all that from the edge, because if you take
We thought you were losing it. No.
You can't lose
before.
what you ain't found yet. But if you take a wine glass, you know how it's got the convex in it, and project a light up the stem of that wine glass and let it project onto a wall.
Like a laser light, shine it up. That would be interesting. Wow.
Well, you can actually take a wine glass and a cell phone, and you can set it up and turn it into a projector. Like if you want to watch a movie on your phone, but you want to see a bigger screen, you just project it through a wine glass at the right angle, and you've got a projector. It's just going to magnify what you're seeing. So you're not going to have to project this on this massive scale.
If I only had a wine glass.
So but ionospheric study is what they've been doing in Antarctica for a long time. And there's one of those whistleblower gentlemen. I'm not going to call no names, but I ran across an article this weekend, which is exactly what he said they were fixing to do. That they were going to take the ionospheric studies that they've done up there and use that to essentially enact Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, and we've got to continue our study on this. We need to understand it better so that we can present it so that a 8th grader could understand it. Because I know as I'm presenting some of this, some of the things I'm saying, some of the concepts, I normally like to present so that an 8th grader could say, I understand, Daniel. The last 3 shows have been like advanced class, and I realize that. But it'll come together more, and I'll come back and represent as I see it even more clear, because it's coming clearer every day. Because when you start seeing these things, you start being able to go, oh, and you see something else, and oh, and you got the other piece now. Your puzzle starts coming together quicker. And so I'm looking forward to that, definitely. Oh, yeah, speaking of the Cyberthon, Super Dave said, let's remember the Cyberthon, the Superthon. Let's do a little, give a little update on that, where we're at. We made a little bit of progress, so I want to give credit where credit is due. Since yesterday, let's go to the Superthon page. This is the Supernatural.Show October Superthon, where I go live for 31 days every day for a month of October, which has been quite the challenge, but it's making me stronger. Actually, I'm getting good at this. And the first week and a half was tough, but I'm starting to get stronger. So this is good. So, but it's a fundraising project in order to do a number of things. But one is to upgrade the PC in the current studio that I run all this from as the director and part of the show itself. And because the reason why we don't have our cameras on right now is because this this computer doesn't have the CPU capability to run off all 3 or 4 of our cameras. Even it's struggling with even one camera on. So yeah, so there's that. And there's just a number of other things that we need to do. And $10,000 really ain't much money. I've got 100,000 subscribers just on Logic Before Authority. If everybody gave $1, that'd be $100,000. Who couldn't give $1? It makes so much sense. It would be so easy if people will participate. Now, last time around, we were at $2,044, and we're on day 20. Got some ground to make up. However, in the last 24 hours, we did make up a little bit of ground. Let me refresh the screen and see where we landed at. We're now at 2594. We made up a little progress, and I still believe y'all guys are going to hit 100% on this. It's not that much to ask if enough of you will care, and appreciate the work that I'm doing and the level of passion that I have for it, and the fact that I'm fighting for you, it'll be easy. I've seen y'all guys hit way more than this easily. And that was when I was just giving it away. We had 2 donations actually came in and made up this little jump here in the last 24 hours. One came from Daniel L, and actually that's his 4th donation for the Superthon. Daniel is holding the lead on the most number of donations, most number of times donating, put it that way. And then we also had another donation from Isaac C, and that was his first donation. And thank you very much, Isaac, also. And that brought us up to $25.94. And something y'all guys haven't seen, guys, is we have a new feature called Super Question. Super Question. What it is if you come to the Super Question page, I see you there on the website submitting the chat, talking about the moon and the eye and stuff. I hope you're seeing it. Super Questions right here under TSS submissions, the Supernatural Show submissions, and you hit that and it brings you here to the Super Question. It's just all it is one button, and you hit that and it's going to pull up a page where you just type in your first name and hit the next button, and then it lets you choose a camera and a microphone, or at least a microphone, and then you can record up to 60 seconds of a question, an idea, maybe a logical dispute about something I'm saying. Well, Daniel, that won't work because of this, or whatever. You can submit it in video and audio format to me just by coming here to the Super Question. And all you have to be is at least a free member on the website, and you can use the Super Question. And let's see. Yeah. I should have that. Yep, I should have that by tomorrow. I haven't put them up intentionally because if you show somebody's hat 10 times and then somebody submits towards the end and their hat only gets shown once, the person who gets shown the most has an advantage. So I'm kind of waiting till it's kind of close to Halloween and then start showing them all. But we are getting kind of close, matter of fact. So I'll see about it if I can't go ahead and get them up tomorrow, because I know we kind of got it started out with a contest with just the viewers, okay, but just y'all guys. And then somehow or another it turned into a contest between the Supernatural Show crew, us, right? And so there's a contest going between me and Miss Kim and Shannon and Roxy and Super Dave and Super Mike. And then we also have a contest going for all viewers where you can submit yours, like right here on the website. If you come on to TheSupernatural.Show, click on Tinfoil Hat Contest right here, and it'll bring you to a page that explains everything and allows you to submit your photos right here. And you can enter the contest, and we have the winner gets the viewer contest. The winner gets a Ethiopian 88 book Bible, the original Ethiopian 88 book hardcover Bible. You also get a 1947 Walking Liberty silver coin. You get a little bit of Roxy Files merch, and you also get a can't see it on the screen right now, but I have some frankincense and olive oil infused anointing oil, a brand new one, still sealed up and everything. I'm going to be sending out a couple of those and a couple of other little things that I have, along with probably a nice plaque not probably, you will be getting a plaque as well that says you are the tinfoil hat super commander for 2025. And so you'll have that to show all your friends and embarrass them with.
It's a whole prize package.
Turns out the tinfoil hat wearing people were right. We were right. You know, just saying, we were right. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And that's the More Than a Conqueror YouTube channel. More Than a Conqueror. So, anybody else got any other updates? I mean, I could talk on forever about the website, but I don't want to bore people to death. I'd encourage young guys to be members. I will say that. That contributes towards the Superthon. Become a member of the website. No, they're wanting some Roxy, I'm sure.
Nobody wants to know what's on my mind today.
Uh-oh.
But anyway, my mind is full. It's a little irritated and overwhelmed today. But Shannon and I will be on tomorrow night on the Roxy Files and Thursday night on her channel together.
About what time? How's that massaging to?
Me and Shannon usually try to go on about 7:30 on my channel on Tuesday night, Eastern time. It can move or vary depending upon mine and Shannon's schedule. What schedule looks good for you tomorrow night, Shannon? Okay. Well, we're gonna aim for 7:30 Eastern tomorrow night. $4:30 Pacific. $9:30 Eastern. That's our late night.
In my brain is not, but my face.
Well, I don't know if y'all been on a Thursday night show with Shannon and Roxy, but the later the show goes, the more so the giggles do.
A few people are saying they can't hear Roxy or Shannon talking. Y'all guys use your bookmark links?
Yep. I mean, they could hear us earlier.
I think they could. I bet they could hear Roxy, but for some reason
they can hear me and Daniel. They can't hear Shannon.
Your bookmark.
Now they hear.
And I know what I know what Shannon's done.
I didn't touch anything.
No, what you did is you bookmarked the link that gives you a new link. You didn't bookmark the actual new link that keeps that link. You bookmarked the.
They're saying it's 5x5 now.
Yeah, it is now. But I'll get with you, Shannon, and get you straightened out, darling.
Shannon, we were discussing. Go ahead.
Shannon is our emotional support person, but not our tech support person.
Thank you.
I got it. Yeah, just saying. It's well known. But yeah, that's okay. Sorry about that, guys. You're not hearing Shannon. Yeah, I looked down at the meter, and it's part of my fault. I'm supposed to be the director checking everything. So I'm going to take the blame for that one, actually, because I should have double-checked all the audios. We should have made sure before we went live. I need to start doing that. So we need to do our audio checks like we were doing before, just to make sure everything's working. So we don't end up having Shannon talking the whole show and there's no audio. Hey, we're still learning, guys. We're literally running off of a thumbnail budget, putting on a show where we're live on 10 platforms right now. We're live on Facebook, 2 YouTube channels. We're live on Rumble, we're live on Odyssey.com, we're live on Kick.com, we're live on 10 of them. So, yeah, and doing that on the thumbnail budget, that kind of thing. So, but we're getting there, and we will get better with time even on that, especially once I hit this super goal and get a new PC and then just have this one as a extra one that's doing side work. And that would be awesome. So, well, I think we kind of gave them some additional information today, especially if you haven't seen The Moon in Your Eye, part 1 and part 2 from yesterday and day before. You got to go back and see it. Okay, guys? Because you need to understand the whole thing in order to understand any of it. Okay? Because if you just watch what I presented today and you didn't watch the last two or miss one of them, you're not quite there. So you need to go check it out. You need to understand noble gases the way I explain them. You need to understand the eye and the way it functions just like the camera, or rather the camera functions like the eye. You need to understand all that. There's a lot more details in there. So check all that stuff out. And
just to mention real quick, just know that all of these things like the fake alien invasion, the digital system changes, all of these things are going to hit all at once. So be prepared for that, because it's hard enough dealing with one trauma at a time, let alone like 50 all at the same time. And it's important to keep your mental and emotional and spiritual capacities with you so you don't make rash decisions out of fear.
Yep.
Which is why we take so much time to give you all this information so you can understand it in the way to where you're not in fear, you're prepared, and that you can handle everything that comes at once. Because remember how the world acted with just the one lockdown.
Oh boy.
Imagine everything all at once. Your surroundings are going to be chaotic, and you have to be in a rational mindset without fear, but understanding and knowledge of how to handle it so you don't make rash decisions. That's a really important thing to understand, and to be able to have that silence enough inside to hear the Holy Spirit and what your next move is going to be, because there's a lot of noise and chaos in the brain when trauma hits. So I just kind of wanted to reiterate, because it's important to be prepared on a physical, material level in some ways, but we need to focus on preparedness on inwardly, so we are prepared to make the right decisions without this fear and manipulation clouding our judgment. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir, but it's really important, because again, even just with the trauma with the Kirk situation, the world people lost their dang minds.
Yep.
Okay, so just be aware that your decision making will play a big part in how things play off around you. And how you can survive. Okay.
Yeah, you got to remain calm. And the way that you're going to be able to remain calm is know the truth ahead of the storm. You see, if you already know the truth ahead of the storm, you've been prepared because you've been seeking the truth, whether it be here on the Supernatural Show or somewhere else where you're actually getting the truth and not some weaponized version of the truth, because there's a lot of that out there. And a lot of good people are falling for it. But you'll be prepared. And then you're not going to react emotionally. And you're going to have to say to yourself, okay, just because all these people are freaking out, I ain't freaking out. They can go run to do this and go run to do that, whatever the government's telling them to do. I ain't doing it. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, because my life and my choices are mine. And you don't have to be like a sheep in a herd and just run because the sheep run. because that's natural human instinct. But it doesn't have to be. So, no, you're 100% on the money, Shannon. All right, guys. Well, we sure appreciate you being here. Thank you, Super Mike. Thank you, Super Dave. Thank you, Roxy. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Miss Kim. And
thank you, audience, because we can't be here without you.
that was exactly my next words, but
I stole it.
you stole my punchline.
Hey, man, I'm just getting some words in. Today's cool.
All right. We love you. We'll see you. Well, I'll see you again tomorrow. 31 days of the Superthon. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you.